I have joining me today this young sister named Kimberly Jones, whose video went viral, and it absolutely captured my attention in a way probably that a video hasn't in a long time. You gave the world one of the best Black history lessons, along with an analogy of Monopoly that I had never heard before.
If I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything. You finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play, and every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your cards. They burn your Monopoly money. When they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood, how can you win? And they are lucky that what Black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
What made the whole thing come off as this recording?
Just a few months ago in my neighborhood, I live in Bankhead, and I was trying to get a cleanup done for the community. And I had 4 people show up for the community cleanup. And we were only able to get like 2 or 3 streets done. So fast forward to the day this video is filmed. So we were downtown in a very exclusive area in Atlanta, and there were all these Black people down there cleaning up stuff we don't own. When just a few months ago, I couldn't get people to come out to clean up our own community. And I just started talking about it, and David turned his camera on, and that's how the video was made.
I was watching this video, and this was so unrehearsed. I could tell with the emotion that you had that this was something that was just a fire burning. Where did this all stem from? Where did that part of you get developed?
So one of the places that I spent a lot of time at as a child was at the Rainbow Coalition Operation Push.
Oh, okay.
And there's an amazing woman who was there at the time who has since passed away, Reverend Willie T. Barrow. And she delivered a speech one time when I was about 11 years old, and she talked about the economics of slavery. And that settled in me, and I've carried that with me over 30 years now, that speech from Dr. Willie T. Barrow down at Operation Push. And the programming that I got at Operation Push, at the DuSable Museum, my mother was an activist, so I was always saturated by people who cared about the community.
What do you think started all of this? Why do you think it started like this across the country, especially here in Atlanta?
I am not surprised at all that this happened on the back of the pandemic, because people are always in the middle of the hustle and bustle. They're always going. They have to work. They watch sports. They have all of this mental stimuli that doesn't allow them to really sit down and process everything that's happened in the country and in the community. And I think that on the back of pandemic, people actually sitting at home and having time to watch things instead of just flip through it on their phone, and watching how quickly we had so many cases back to back with Breonna Taylor, Aubrey, with George Floyd, and that 8 minutes and 46 seconds is so brutal that there's no way you could grapple with that and not be upset. And I think that's what triggered everything.
Did you ever think that this moment in time for you would go viral like this?
I did not see it going viral. Honestly, I feel like at some point in that speech, I left my body and either God or the ancestors took over.
You know, the thing of it that struck me was the Monopoly analogy was so spot on. It explained what has happened to Black people for over 400 years. Where did that come from?
There's this organization that I work with called the Girls Who Brunch Tour. So whenever they have a stop in Atlanta, I teach a workshop to the girls. And I was trying to think of a way I could teach them finance that they could understand it. So we played Monopoly. One of the girls felt like, but what if people cheat? Then it's not fair. She was like, that's why I don't like Monopoly, because chance could happen. And then you could end up in jail for something that's not even your fault. And so it was a baby that put that in the back of my mind. Mm-hmm. So I had boiled that thought around in my head. And that's why I say God had to take over in that conversation, because I had never put it together that in that way, other than that brief conversation with the girl in my workshop until the moment when I recorded that video.
Listen to me. See, I'm 63 years old. I'm so sick of racism. I'm so sick of having to have dealt with it my entire life. I've been involved in riots and boycotts since I was 11 years old, when I came home and I saw my mother and father crying because they had killed Martin Luther King. The death of Martin Luther King changed my attitude so deeply at 11 because of something my father said while he was crying. He said, "Boy, white folks don't want us to have nothing." He said, "Every time we get something worth something, they just take it from us. We can't even have a preacher." And I went, wow. And so days later, they were playing excerpts of his speech. And the part that always got me about the I Have a Dream speech was when little black boys and little white girls joined hands. He just wanted everybody to get along. Wait a minute. So you killed the one dude that just want us to get along? He wasn't doing nothing. He committed no crime, peaceful protest. And I went, wow. And at 11 years old, man, that shaped my thinking. What do you think will come out of this? Do you see anything coming out of this?
I think only way something is going to come out of this is if we start making the necessary changes ourselves, because it's been proven time and time again that we're on our own. And the saddest part about that is that racism is not a Black issue that white people need to empathize with. Racism is a white problem they caused that they need to fix. But I don't have faith anymore that that's going to happen. So I think that's what's going to happen is we're going to have to dig deep and look at some of the ancestors that were able to be successful on their own. And we're going to have to borrow some of their tactics. We're going to have to look at Fannie Lou Hamer. We're going to have to look at Malcolm X. We're going to have to look at the Panthers. We're going to have to look at Rudy Lozano. We're going to have to look at these people who had very smart systems that they used that were rooted deeply in self-preservation, because that's the thing that we forgot is self-preservation. And that's why I said what I said at the end about you lucky that all we want is equality and not revenge, because God has blessed us to be a very forgiving and loving people who give grace to everybody. No matter how bad they treat us, no matter how awful they are, we still handle ourselves with exceptional grace. I live here in Atlanta. I look at the video of the brother Rashad Brooks, and I look how, despite the fact that they were speaking to him in a way from the beginning that they were clearly trying to build a case and figure out how they were going to get him, he still was offering them so much grace, and they shot him in the back.
But you know what? Let me give you a piece of light here, though. You are making a big difference right now, and I'll tell you why. And something will change because of this, and I'll tell you why. This is the first time in my life that I've ever seen white outrage over a Black cause. This is the first time that because of the way you all are roaring, and like you said earlier, COVID-19, see, this was a big blessing. Behind every moment of pain, pain always leaves a gift. And in this quarantine moment, when the world was frozen, for the first time, they saw what we saw.
Right.
We've been seeing this like been so obvious to us. You young lions are making a difference. And because y'all pressing, and listen to me, as a responsible citizen and a person who has fame and a radio voice, I can't go along with burning and looting, because then, they'll come for me like this.
You're so bad.
You understand? But I don't recommend it for young people, because then they say you break the law, and once they can say you break the law, then they get to apply the institutional racism as they want to see fit. But I do understand it, though.
I think a lot of people want to misinterpret what I said as that I was telling people to burn the city down. That's not what I was. What I was saying was, if they did, it wouldn't be comparable to what happened to us. So I don't want to focus on that. I want you to focus on why people are doing it, because guess what? There were riots in the 60s. There were riots in the 70s. There was riots after Rodney King. There was riots after Baltimore. And this continues to happen, and nobody is asking why. Nobody is asking why and fixing the why. So you're going to continue to get the what if you're not dealing in the why.
You know what? You explained it perfectly. I didn't misunderstand you at all. But see, what they do is they master on taking the 30-second soundbite. And I watched them dissect your speech to get to one part. She's supporting burning and looting. She ain't supporting burning and looting, but she understands. Steve Harvey don't support burning and looting, but I get it. See, even Martin Luther King said riot is the language of the unheard. I mean, hold up, man. You gonna just see, y'all saw a video of the knee in the neck. We live with the knee in the neck. Let me ask you something. If you could say something to the police officer who killed George Floyd, what would you say to him?
There are laws that we have to abide by in this country that have been put in place for everybody, and no one person, and there's a reason we have a judicial system, no one person is allowed to be judge, jury, and executioner. No one.